Scene 5. A few days later I am on a hospital ward. I am recovering from heart surgery. It's visiting time and Charlotte arrives, with my daughter Kelly who is 34, my son James who is 30 and Kelly's son Jason who is 16. Kelly, hey Dad, how are you feeling? John, absolutely terrible. I hope I never have to go through anything like that again. Jason, well you won't if you stop eating the fatty foods granted. James, yeah Dad, you need to take this as a bit of a warning. John, yes doctor, will bear that in mind. So how has everybody else spent their day? Charlotte, usual stuff, just dealing with patients all day. James, same here, just patients and stuff. Jason, school for me all day. Kelly, cutting hair mostly. Apart from a juicy bit of gossip from an old lady about the next door neighbor murdering her husband. John, oh yeah? A few minutes go by and then Kelly, James and Jason decide that they have to leave. Kelly, hi Dad. Jason, hi Granddad. James, Dad, remember what I said, you need to start taking care of yourself. John, yes I know, I'll see you later. James, hi Dad. I know no matter what I say I'll do what you want. Kelly, James and Jason leave the hospital. John, I will try, you know. Charlotte, yes I know you will. John, I wish I could just upload myself now, then I won't have to worry about all this medical crap. Charlotte, I was going to say something about that. I think we should do it now. John, no we can't do it now, we haven't got enough money. And if we do it now we might live another 30 years, and then we would have to spend more money and do it again. Charlotte, I did some research, and if we only pay for the scan and the storage and none of the other stuff, the money Jack left us should just about cover it. John, but we were going to use that money to have some fun in our twilight years. It seems silly to throw it away right now. In a couple of years Charlotte interrupts and starts to cry. Charlotte, in a couple of years you could be dead and I could be on my own. Last week was the worst day of my life. Like James says, that was a warning. I thought I was going to lose you and I won't let you do that to me again. John, okay, point taken, I'll think about it. Charlotte, no you won't think about it, I'll do it. Scene 6. I am in the scanning machine and a nurse is explaining to me what will happen next. Nurse, the first thing you will be aware of is that you are in a kind of black space. You won't be able to move or speak or anything. Once your brain has learned to control your ghost body, you can talk to your family or whoever's present at the switch on. The amount of time this will take varies from person to person, so we can't tell you how long this will take. You can and will only be activated after your physical body's death, so this could be in the far future or it could be as soon as tomorrow. You are also only allowed one ghost at a time and one backup, so you can't run 2 copies of yourself. Scene 7. I wake up in a blank room in the virtual world, surrounded by my family's avatars. John, WOW. Now that was a trip and a half, what are we doing here? I wanted to see what you all look like. How long's it been? Charlotte, 30 years. John, well everybody seems to be here. Charlotte, Kelly, Jason, Alex, and who are these 3? I point at my grandchildren. Charlotte, these are James' kids, Sarah, Stephen and Martin. John, nice to meet you all. Sarah, Stephen and Martin, hey Granddad. John, so James finally found himself a girl then. Where is he? Off doctoring I suppose. Charlotte, we've got some bad news. Charlotte starts to cry and Kelly comforts her. Kelly, it's okay Mom. John, what happened? Is it the shock of seeing me? Kelly, Dad, James died, he was only 60. It was a heart attack. John, oh no, that's awful. A heart attack? Last time I saw him he gave me such a hard time after my heart attack. Just wait until I see him. Jason, has dead Granddad. Alex, no hologram. John, oh no, that's bad, I can't believe it. I know I don't seem over emotional right now, but that's because I'm still adjusting. What else has been happening over the past 30 years? Alex, I think before we tell you anything else we should probably explain about the rules you have to follow. John, there are rules for immortality? Sounds interesting. Alex, well firstly you're slightly out of sync with the real world and I interrupt Alex. John, that would explain the chipmunk voices. Sorry, you carry on. Alex, we bought you a robot body but you can't go outside in it unless one of us is with you. There are even some places in the virtual world you can't go or access. As a ghost you're now classed as property and there is a lot of cyber terrorism and prejudice against ghosts. Also there is a time limit of 127 years on how long any uploaded person can live. After that time you are automatically deleted. Any inappropriate or illegal behavior in either the virtual world or the real world has a maximum penalty of deletion. John, sounds heavy. Alex, it is, and there is even a legal system in the virtual world to make sure you obey the rules. John, virtual police? Alex, it's more of a caste system. Child class is the caste given to children who access the virtual world. They are limited in that they cannot access certain games, information or use of over 18 social networking. Standard class is given to everyone upon reaching the age of 13. The amount of privileges you have access to increases with age up until age 21, when you can access everything the virtual world. In standard class you have the power to block people from interacting with you and access to your child's avatar and information. Counselor classes, given to anybody who volunteers to complete a training course. Technically they have no actual powers or privileges above standard class. They are used as moderators in civil and domestic disputes. Enforcer class is the caste which enforces the laws of the virtual world. Enforcers are given this caste after proving themselves worthy and of upstanding character and completing a tough testing procedure to the satisfaction of a group of 5 administrators. They have the power to block people from accessing parts of the virtual world pending judgment from administrators. Any abuse of power results in permanent downgrading to standard caste. The minimum age for an enforcer is 40. Administrators are in charge of making sure everything is in check and deciding on punishments for crimes. Administrators are given this caste after proving themselves worthy and of upstanding character after a minimum of 20 years as an enforcer and completing a tough testing procedure to the satisfaction of a group of 20 administrators. John, interesting. So do people get paid for this? Alex, not in actual money. It's more of a volunteer-based system, but you do get more privileges based on your caste. John, oh right, well we'll have to read up on all this. Kelly, Dad, we're going to go now. I know you need time to adjust and Mum needs a break. John, no, don't go. Everyone, bye. Everyone disappears, leaving me on my own. John, I still have questions. Where have you gone? Don't leave me here. Scene 8. Charlotte and I have lunch in a virtual cafe. John, Charlotte, you have to promise me that you will never do that to me again. Charlotte, I'm sorry, it's just we were all a bit shocked to see you. We had just got back from seeing your body and we were all a bit upset as well. John, it was still scary, just to be left like that. Hey, I've just realized you're speaking with a young voice. Why aren't you speaking like a 93-year-old lady? Charlotte, oh, brain-computer interface technology has moved on since you were scanned. Now instead of just using our brains to control avatars, we can actually feel things and move as if we are actually there, with no need for gloves of a bodysuit. John, wow, that's amazing. I wish I felt like I was actually here. I'm a little bit worried that I'm not actually feeling things the way I should. Have you noticed any difference? Charlotte, not really. In fact, you've seen more yourself than you've been in a long time. John, maybe I'm just looking too much into things. When you were crying earlier, why didn't I rush to comfort you? On Jane's death I should be crying my eyes out right now. This is not me at all. Charlotte, John, it's to be expected. You just recovered from having your brain go through a blender. It's only natural that you don't feel like yourself. Of course you must have feelings, otherwise you won't be so worried about not having them. John, yeah, you're right. Charlotte, I'm just happy I can actually have a coherent conversation with you again. Towards the end you got really confused. John, why's that? Charlotte, you had Alzheimer's. John, I thought they would have cured that by now. Charlotte, they have, except you were the 1 in a million who didn't respond to the treatment. John, is that why I never updated my scan? Charlotte, yeah, we had them done on our 80th birthdays, which is when we found out. We decided not to scan you after the diagnosis, but we had already done mine. So yeah, we're going to have to explain all this to my ghost when she's activated. John, I can do that, and I promise I won't scare the crap out of her like you did with me. Charlotte, I said I'm sorry. Hey, there's another thing. Oh yeah, I'll never forgive me if I don't tell you this. John, what is it? Charlotte, the space agency has built a few bases on the moon and Mars, and that they found some bones and a few ancient artifacts buried on Mars. John, WOW. Charlotte, I'm actually surprised that there isn't more happening about this subject. At the time when the discoveries were made, there was a lot of publicity and excitement, but in the present it's kind of a taboo subject. John, that's amazing. Do you think there's some sort of Charlotte's avatar starts buzzing and squeaking? John, Charlotte, I think there's something wrong with your avatar. Charlotte? Charlotte? Scene 9. Charlotte and I are attending our funeral. Each of our relatives give a speech about our lives which we watch from a robot body. In the virtual world, Charlotte is upset and I am comforting her. John, well, this is nice. Everyone is paying such nice tributes. Charlotte, it doesn't feel like our funeral to me, it's more like Jane's funeral. John, I don't know how I feel anymore. I guess I'm still not over my initial activation. It's like I'm watching all this on some TV show. Charlotte, my baby's dead. I can feel that. John, I know, and it's awful, but we have to carry on and look to the future. Otherwise all this will be for nothing. Charlotte, our lives, living with Alex. John, I still don't get why we don't live with Kelly or one of our grandchildren. We should be spending our last few years getting to know them. Charlotte, it makes more sense. Alex lives on her own and could do with a company, and she'll have more time for us. Kelly has enough on her plate with her husband and newly divorced 45-year-old son living with her. As for the other grandchildren, they don't even know you, and last time I saw them there were only babies. John, yeah, I admit it does sound like a better arrangement. Charlotte, and besides, that Alex is like a daughter to you. John, no, I don't see that. She's more like a mate than anything. Apart from that, she's technically older than me now, so that makes no sense at all. Charlotte, what? You practically raised her from a baby. Ever since she was 5 years old, you and her were always up to all sorts in that shed. You taught her everything you know, and you worked together for 10 years. John, well, she's my best mate then. Charlotte, you are the only father figure she's ever known. John, okay, maybe I am, but I want to make it clear there has to be a distinction between how I was with her and how I was with Kelly, otherwise I stop myself mid-sentence. John, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up, especially not now. Charlotte, no, it's okay, we can't just pretend it didn't happen. It is part of our past. John, so let's look to the future. We have exactly 34 years of life left, and I intend to enjoy them. Charlotte, what do you have in mind? John, play games, party, spend time with the grandchildren, anything and everything that this virtual world has to offer, as long as it's fun.